Hello everyone, and welcome to part 1 of this game review special. Now it's safe to say that everyone agrees with me on the fact that the company once known as LJN sucks! From 1970 to 1994, they produced both toys and video games until 1986, when under the direction of Acclaim, they dropped the toy line and concentrated solely on the video game industry. If they only foresaw what was going to happen, they should have stuck with the toy line instead. After producing numerous titles for the NES and Super Nintendo, the company defected in 1994 to be completely part of Acclaim, partially due to poor reactions of gamers with their games. They tried to make a comeback in 2000, yes they did, to make Spirit of Speed 1937 a Dreamcast title, but it did even worse than most of the past LJN titles. According to IGN.com, and I quote, Spirit of Speed 1937 is the poorest excuse of a Dreamcast game I have ever laid eyes on. The game was so atrocious, the site gave it a rating of 2.2. So to commemorate the company's failure at producing such horrible titles, I'll be reviewing 6 games total. In this segment, I'll be reviewing 2 games based on 2 classic horror movies. Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street are a series of great horror movies starring 2 legendary killers, Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger. They made us jump, scared the living daylights out of us, and showed lots and lots of blood. Now I have no idea what LJN was thinking when converting these 2 classic icons into horrific 8-bit abominations, but let's just say the games were nowhere near successful as the movies. Now on to the review, starting with Friday the 13th. The first thing you see is a knife going towards Jason's mask. Ooh, how scary. Then you can select from 6 cam counselors and automatically start the game. Just make sure to play with Mark or Chrissy, as they're the fastest characters in the game, because everybody else sucks. The graphics are pretty decent, which is the only good thing about this game. The music is dreadfully awful, whether you're outside or in the cabins, which will make you want to play something else in its place. The navigation is bad because sometimes you can't tell if you're going left or right on the map screen. If you went to either the deep forest or the caves, you would get lost very easily. Now the only purpose in entering these areas is to get to the secret cabins and obtain rare items which you can't get in any other part of the game. There's also a nice day to night transition, unlike a certain other game you all know of, and it will continue to be night until you completely beat Jason. You start the game with a sorry excuse of a weapon, a rock. And it seems like when you throw it, it makes some kind of weird arc, which will sometimes miss the enemies, and that alone makes the game frustrating. After you defeat a number of enemies, a knife should appear, which means you better get it to replace that useless rock. The enemies are not much in variety. They're mostly zombies, whether they appear in day or night, and they can be found anywhere. Now the knife is good enough, but you want to find better weapons in the game, so once you get the key, go to the secret cabin in the cave, unlock the door, and you should get to fight Jason's mother, who happens to look some kind of floating Medusa head. She shouldn't be that hard to fight if you can anticipate her movements. After you beat her, you get this machete, which is probably the strongest weapon you can get for a while until you light all the fireplaces. But how can you light all the fireplaces when you keep hearing this? It's the Jason alarm. When this happens, automatically look at the map screen to find which cabin is blinking. That's where Jason is attempting to kill the other counselors or children. So unless you're controlling Mark or Chrissy, you're pretty much screwed with everybody else because you won't be able to get to that cabin on time. When you reach the cabin, the counselor or children will say thank you. For what? Don't you normally say thank you after you save them from the attacker? Anyways, you navigate through this fucking maze of a cabin until holy shit, there he is! Like Jason's mother, his attack pattern should be predictable after a while, but he'll do more damage, so be careful. You beat him once, and then he'll be back for more later. Then you'll keep encountering him again and again, and this repeats until you completely deplete his life. Once you completely beat Jason, you get this message saying, he's getting stronger. And I'm like, I didn't beat the game yet? Then you come to the map screen like when you first begin the game and have to select a counselor to start the game with again. So basically, you're starting a new day all over again, except the enemies are faster, everyone's back to using that piece of shit rock, and I gotta light all the damn fireplaces all over again. Also, encounters with Jason appear way unexpected, and when you fight him in the cabin, he's definitely stronger and moves as fast as fucking Speedy Gonzales. So then I found out later that there are 3 days total in the game, and I just finished the first day. So I'm like, why the fuck should I torture myself playing another 2 days of repetitive nonsense just to find out the true ending of this game? Basically, I beat Jason the first time, so fuck the rest of this game. Overall, I'm giving this repetitive shit a 3.5 out of 10, and that's only because I'm being nice. Now compared to Friday the 13th, this game is somewhat better, but it still sucks overall. You're playing as this random guy who's gotta collect all of Freddy's bones and burn them in a furnace so Freddy can stop attacking people in their dreams and completely rest in peace. The graphics are nice once again, considering the fact that this whole game is taking place at night. The music is way better than Friday the 13th because you can get some kind of beat to it. The navigation is frustrating because you can never tell which house you're supposed to go in next, thus making it one of those where the hell do I go kind of games. Every house or specific area you enter, you have to collect all the bones in the area before you proceed to the next level. Besides Freddy's bones, you can also collect these great tokens, and basically you only need to collect one of each to use in the dream world. Any more of them will be for adding points to your score. Speaking of the dream world, you can become one of 3 people once your sleep meter goes down all the way. The acrobat makes you jump very high and can throw javelins at your enemies. The ninja warrior, which is the best of the 3, can throw shurikens and automatically jump kicks when you just press the jump button. Finally is the necromancer, who is the farthest attacker and can stay in the air a bit longer than the other 2. You'll probably need him to make almost impossible jumps, and that's just about it. The enemies are ridiculously childish. They are monsters you would normally see in a haunted house or Halloween special. However, mixing them with a classic killer like Freddy wasn't exactly a great combination. After you've been in the dream world for a while, you start to hear a different tune. That is Freddy's theme. You see this flashing "Freddy is coming" sign, which is probably the coolest thing in the game to see. Here you get a mixture of a disappointing fight and great music. Freddy is easy as hell, the only thing you have to look out for is the hands that come out of the ground. Speaking of Freddy, every boss in the game is more challenging than he is. Here is an incarnation of Freddy whose head is attached to some balls almost similar to the enemies in that Bugs Bunny game. He launches at you and sometimes spitting out these, leeches. They're even more creepy than almost all the enemies in the game. Most of the bosses you'll normally use the ninja to defeat with, because he's the easiest to use. Anyways, the game is somewhat decent except for the Halloween-like enemies and which area do I enter next frustration. I give this game a 5 out of 10. So what have we learned from these 2 games? 1. The formula of good movie equals shitty game is applied very well. 2. Never ever try to make such great horror movie icons into 8-bit retardations. And 3. LJN, you suck! That is all for part 1. So tune in next time for part 2 when I review Marvel's shitty games, Wolverine and Spider-Man Return of the Sinister Shit. So until part 2, see you next time.